Deepak Chopra has hailed his books as archetypal and stirring. Talking numbers, over 10 lakh books in the subcontinent alone of the first two of the series, we're not talking the third, have already been sold. Worldwide rights have now been secured by Kekas Books, right? Am I correct? And book 3, The Oath of the Vayuputras, is coming out. So without further ado, I'm going to just move on to the questions. And first things first, Amish, Oath of the Vayuputras. When is it coming out?
27th Feb, inshallah. I hope you guys will like it when it comes out. But the date has been announced, 27th Feb. The books will be out.
Would you care to tell us a bit about the book, where it takes up from, perhaps just a little hint?
No, man, you're going to have to buy the book, yeah? But it'll take off from the exact place where the second book ended. So, the exact place. Just like the transition between the Immortals of Melua and the Secret of the Nagas, where it began from the exact moment
just
where
like
Melua
the first
ended.
one, yeah, exact. Okay, first question on faith. How do you define your relationship with the divine?
Okay. Oh, Calcutta, serious question. First go. Okay, let me, since we're talking about the divine, let me approach it from a scientific perspective.
Okay, sure.
Are there any neuroscientists out here by any chance? Like, very small probability, but okay. Okay, then no one can point out that I'm wrong. Okay. No, I'd read about this in a book. Apparently, neuroscience has discovered that our brains, all of us, we have between 10 to the power 12 to 10 to the power 13 neurons, okay, in our brains. All of us, we have that. Each neuron has between 10 to the power 3 or 10 to the power 4 connections to each other, okay. They're called synapses. I'm sure all of you are aware, who know even a little bit about how our brain works, that our brain's capacity is defined by the number of connections the neurons have, the number of synapses in our skull, right? Which means that we have 10 to the power 16 or 10 to the power 17 synapses in our brain. That is huge, okay? We have a supercomputer in our skull. A supercomputer is defined by 1 teraflop of transactions per second. We have a supercomputer in our skull, right? The interesting thing is, how does a supercomputer in our skull work? You would assume that since we are interacting with the outside world, much of our brain would be busy with the outside world, the world of the Maya, the world of the illusion. Actually, not more than 10 to the power 3 or 10 to the power 4 synapses in our skull actually interact with outside influences. Most of our brain is actually talking to itself. 99.9999999% of our brain receives no inputs from the outside world, gives no inputs to the outside world. It's an instrument which is talking to itself. That's a scientific way of looking at it. How does a spiritual person look at it? The 99.9999999% of your brain is talking to God. Okay? And that's the conversation which defines, are you happy or not? You'll find some people who have absolutely nothing in the world, but they're happiest guys around. You'll find some people who have everything, but they're still unhappy. Your relationship with the divine is a crucial part of the kind of life you live. I've learned that after spending nearly 10, 12 years as an atheist, okay, where I was extremely aggressive, very unhappy. Now I think I'm much happier than I've ever been. I'm a much calmer person than I ever was. And that's because of, I believe, my relationship, at least my relationship with my God has changed. And it's an important conversation for all of us. What conversation do we have with the divine? Where are we devoting a majority of our brain? That's what defines whether we're happy or not.
Now, may I ask you how
serious
that
question, serious
trigger
answer.
happened? Yeah, sure. May I ask you how that trigger happened? How did that relationship change? Did something happen? What happened?
There was a flash of light and I woke up and I was suddenly spiritual.
I doubt that
Okay,
very much.
yeah, I'd love to say that because it's a nice, sexy answer. The reality is it didn't happen like that. Like I said, I was an atheist for many years. I was one of those extreme atheists. So I would, I'm surrounded by a lot of religious people. So my wife is very religious. My grandfather was actually a priest. Both my parents are very religious. So in my atheist days, for example, I would go with my wife to the door of a temple, but I would refuse to enter. I don't know what the hell I was trying to prove, but that was the kind of guy I was. Okay. Uh, Slowly, as I wrote more and more of my book, I rediscovered the beauty of faith, and that has changed me dramatically. Like I said, I'm much calmer, much happier than I used to be. I can't remember the last time I shouted. I used to shout and scream quite a lot, and I'm in a much happier place. And that's because of spirituality, but it happened slowly. It didn't happen with a bright flash of light. As I wrote more and more of my books, I discovered my love for Lord Shiva.
So, in your books, Shiva is definitely human. But in your personal philosophy, how do you see Shiva? What is Shiva?
Shiva is the universal force. Look, it depends on us. If you're an atheist, you will believe the universal force is the physical law of everything. If you're a Muslim, you'll believe it's Allah. If you're a Christian, you'll believe it's the Father. If you're a Shaivite, you'll believe it's Lord Shiva. If you're a Vaishnavite, you'll believe it's Lord Vishnu. If you're a Bengali, most probably you'll believe it's Shakti Ma, right? Or Durga Ma in all her forms. It doesn't matter what form you believe in the universal force, as long as you find some connection to that. That's what makes you happy.
Brilliant. You've used
All
mythology.
very serious questions and very serious answers.
It's Calcutta, serious topics. Now, you've used mythology. I think you were the first one to use it in English post the Amar Chitrakatha generation, which is, the generation we all grew up with. And then there was a bit of a gap for some years. No one did talk about it. And of course, you came along, and we are rediscovering mythology as I speak. What do you think is the purpose of myths, today's life, this day and age?
This is a damn good question. If you guys would allow me just to explain the concept of myths a little bit more. The root of the word myth is a Greek word called mythos. Okay, and most of us, if we check the dictionary, it apparently says mythos means a fanciful tale, which may have some kernels of truth in it. Which is why you shouldn't read the dictionary, because many times it loses the core meaning. I traveled to Greece many years ago. There's this wonderful Greek lady that I interacted with. And she told me that according to the Greeks, mythos means that which hides the truth. Okay? And your purpose is to go deep and discover the truth that lies within. And meaning very beautiful. Okay? So myths, actually there are two ways to approach it. One is to approach it from the perspective of what the Greek woman told me. And the other is to approach it with the dictionary meaning. Now, if you follow the dictionary meaning, then your approach in life would be try and find some historical fact which may have got twisted into mythology, right? That is the path of the historian, right? Or you can follow the approach that I like, which is the myth itself doesn't matter, find the truth within, find the philosophy within. And that's what truly matters, because the myth is just a path to that story. That is the path of the philosopher. So I like the path of the philosopher a lot more.
Brilliant. Now, coming on to fiction, because I'm just strictly following that path. Many writers, I've heard a few in this session, and many writers have talked about the fact that they don't own the story. The story happens to them, or it comes to them, and the characters become real, and they just chronicle it. But still, a lot of them have talked about shaping the narrative. At some level, you have to guide it a bit, you have to knock it into shape a bit, you've got to put it into a structure where there is a climax and, interest is held. How do you achieve this? Do you ever differ from the flow in your head in your final books? Do you blindly follow exactly what comes to you, or do you interfere with the process a bit?
I did try to interfere at the beginning. In fact, I think Dr. Tharoor in his session was speaking about writers who have flow charts and who have character sketches and try and follow that and work in a very organized, rigid manner. So, I'm Calcutta, so I did try that route, in a quanti organized manner. There are writers out here, I believe. So I'm sure many of you must be aware of self-help books. So I had found various self-help books where there were standard algos on how to write a book, which I did work on. So I did make character sketches of each character. I made, a short summary of the entire book so that I'd have the story flow right in my mind. I made a date plan on how to write in Microsoft Excel, all very NBA type. And that plan was a complete flop. It went nowhere. And I realized that for me to try and control the story actually doesn't work. So I'm actually one of those who discovers the story.
You're a seat of the pants writer.
I assume that I'm only a channel. The story is somewhere up above. Someone's blessing me with it. And my task is just to kind of channel that story without any disruption, without any twists, without any. Because anything that I do which dishonors the story will stop the flow. That's what I believe. So actually, I work instinctively. I believe that I just channel the story. I don't create the story.
I'm quoting you here. I'm quoting you from the Litfest last year, Jaipur, where you mentioned that you're not passionate about language as such. But clearly, you're either passionate about storytelling or following a certain philosophy through, or narrating or making it reachable for a lot of people. Which one is it?
I'm passionate about my wife, and I'm passionate about philosophy. I'm honestly not really passionate about language. I don't really care which language philosophy comes in as long as it comes to me. So I'm a big fan of P.G. Woodhouse, but it's not really philosophically deep, frankly. It's just a good fun read. But if you read the autobiography of a yogi, I hope many people have read it here. It has language that, well, people might sniff at. But look, it's a book that will change your life. So should you not read it just because the language is not good? I mean, who the hell cares about the language? The thoughts in it are so deep and profound that you should read it. So, for example, Mrityunjay, which was a Marathi book, which has been translated into English and Hindi now. It's a brilliant take on the Mahabharata from Karn's perspective. Beautiful book. Okay, so does it matter what language it's in? Sarat Chand, the beautiful stories that Sarat Chand wrote in Bengali, which were fortunately translated into Hindi. So many of us, had the pleasure of reading it. Who cares what language it's written in, as long as the stories are beautiful? That's what truly matters.
So how is storytelling evolving for you? I mean, I know that you've written in one language, you've been translated into multiple, you're going to be translated into many more, hopefully. There is the other language, the language of film. There is hopefully the language of audiobooks. So is storytelling for you something that's completely evolving, changing, shifting? How do you look at storytelling now?
I've learned actually that you just have to surrender, like I said. You don't really create the story yourself. Of course, when it comes in a different medium, then it has to be adapted. Movie can never be exactly like the book. As long as it has the soul of the book, it's okay. But it can never be exactly like the book. Rough rule of thumb is one page translates into 1 minute on screen. So if my book was translated exactly the way it is, it would be a 7-hour long movie. So obviously there has to be some kind of adaptation. It depends on the medium.
And are you involved with this adaptation process in the film?
I'm there as a consultant, but in a movie, I think you got to leave it to the director. Every project should have one captain. Democracy is a good way to run a country. It's not a good way to run a film project. And in a film, the captain is the director, so you got to trust him.
Now, a lot has been said in the media and otherwise about your excellent marketing campaign. In fact, you've often been hailed as the first to really bring marketing into books in the way that you did. What innovations can we look forward to for book 3? Is there anything you'd care to tell us?
Yeah, okay. There is one thing which will get announced on the 11th of February. We are launching a music album. From what I've been told, apparently original soundtrack has never been created for a book series before. So different sections of the book, different chapters, some sections of it, original songs are being created to convey that part. And so there are artists of the likes of Tawfiq Qureshi, Sonu Nigam, Palash Sen, some real top-notch artists who are working to create this album. We'll be launching it on the 11th of Feb, inshallah. Hopefully you guys will like it. And I'm also kind of a part of one of it.
Oh, you're singing. He used to sing very well on campus, and he still does. He might just sing for you if you ask him nicely. Life after Maluha. Fame must have changed your life. How has it changed your life?
Fame is an illusion. I mean, you can't, you have it one day, you don't have it the next. What really matters is actually the kind of life that you lead. I used to work in insurance. Trust me, life doesn't get more boring than that. Okay, whatever job you have, it cannot be worse than a life insurance job. Uh, no, seriously. Uh, I actually do something that I love doing, and by God's grace, I actually make money out of it. Life can't be better for me. And I think that is more important than anything else. I don't come from a rich family, so I can't afford to be irresponsible and tell my kid ki bhai tum bhoke maro kyunki daddy is discovering himself. That's irresponsible. Fortunately, since I can pay my bills out of this, I can spend all my time doing things which I like doing, which is writing, which is reading, which is traveling. Because I'm a professional now, all the books that I buy are tax deductible, which is fantastic. It's a good life. Like I always say, it's a dream. Don't wake me up.
Um, the movie deal. Tell us about how it came about. Where are we at with Maluha the movie? And why did you choose Karan Johar, if you chose him at all, or did he choose you? What happened?
As far as the movie is concerned, what happened was it was, I guess, serendipity. There's a Hollywood-based agency called CAA, Creative Artists Agency. One of their partners was flying through India and picked up the book apparently at Mumbai airport and liked it, and he shared it with someone in CAA in Hollywood, a guy who's not of Indian origin, and apparently he liked the book as well. CAA is one of the biggest movie talent agencies in the world. They contacted me. At that time, I was still working in a bank. I had no idea who they were. So they said, like, look, we'd like to represent you for a movie. So I said, I'll think about it. I'm sure they must have thought I'm mad. Then I Googled them and I realized, wow, these guys are big. So I said, yes, I want you guys to represent me. So they actually worked out this deal. I met various producers, who were bidding for it. And I think what I like most about Karan and his team is the passion with which they came with towards this project. Karan told me this line, that we'll make a movie that is worthy of Lord Shiva. And that really kind of got me. And they're working on the, they're working on the script right now.
Brilliant.
So let's see how it goes. Hopefully we will make a movie worthy of Lord Shiva.
Now, this is all very interesting. I could go on, but I don't want to go on. I want you to go on. So I'm going to open the floor for questions. Is there a mic anywhere here, handy? Now, unlike our other sessions, I think the first two questions, nobody's waiting. Everybody's like dying to go. Yes, please. Your
Hi,
name,
Amish.
please, ma'am.
I'm Samhita.
Hi, Samhita.
Hi. I just want to know that are you already missing Shiva now that you finished the third book?
He's not leaving me with the books, yeah? He'll always be with me. But I'll miss the characters, of course. But the wonderful part is most of my other story ideas are also in the mythology history space. So I'll enter, hopefully, another world. But Lord Shiva is never going to leave me. Yeah, he'll always be with me, hopefully. Hey, buddy. What's your name?
My name is Shoptok.
Hi, Shop.
See, you have changed the whole scenario of mythology that we grew up with, and I have found a lot of references of geographical areas which used to happen might be in the historical arena. Now, is there any kind of, definitely it's a fiction, but any kind of truth or history that is linked with this Shiva coming from Tibet and coming all the way down through India with all those old places?
See, there are some parts of the book which are actually historically accurate. So the descriptions of the Indus Valley city, the flow of the Saraswati, I believe Michel Denon was here. So the flow of the Saraswati, I've taken it from his research. The descriptions of the Indus Valley cities are historically accurate. The term, the Branga Hriday, is actually, it's from actually the West Bengal, Bangladesh area. I wonder why it's not well known across the country and across the world. There was an ancient empire called Ganga Hriday.
You have brought the whole army from the Sundarbans onto the South India. So it's, I want to say, is there any land strip or like that at that time that you brought it through that way?
There's a reason for why the army moved that way, which you'll understand in the third book. So I'll not spoil it for you. But the Branga Hriday, which I used to describe the old Bengal area, there was actually an empire called Ganga Hriday. Now there's some historical controversy about that, but there are those who do believe that yes, an empire did exist called Ganga Hriday, which one used. The term Meluha is also historically accurate. There were texts discovered in ancient Mesopotamia, that's ancient Iraq, which refers to a vast, wealthy land of brown-skinned people called Meluha in the east, which many modern historians think must have been the Indus Valley civilization. So there are parts of it which are historically accurate, the rest of it is fiction.
Excuse me. I've got
Pakistan
to...
didn't exist at that time, man.
It's an evil thing. So I just...
Right, I've got to move on. So, the lady there, yes.
Good evening, sir. My name is Devdatta Mitra.
Hi, Debrata.
The motive which captured my attention is the concept of good and evil displayed in your book, especially a chapter called Necessity of Evil in Nagas. What, according to you, is good? And what, according to you, is evil?
That's a core philosophy of the book. So you're going to have to wait for the third book for that. But the beginning of the third book actually has this philosophy. This is the genesis of the entire Shiva trilogy. It began as a pure philosophy thesis. But all I can say, which will not spoil the third book for you, is that evil has a purpose as well. It exists because it has a purpose.
It is the
Anything
antithesis
more
of
will,
good.
yeah, anything more will spoil the book for you.
Right, the gentleman in the purple turban, please. He's been waiting for a while.
Who has the mic? Yeah.
Hi.
Anyone who wants to ask a question has to wave their hands madly at that woman out there, the beautiful woman in the sari. She gets to decide who gets to ask the questions.
Hi, I'm Ajay from I Am Calcutta. I wanted
I'm
to,
Calcutta, Joka rocks.
Yeah, Joka rocks. I wanted to ask that I recently read your work and also work from Devdutt Patnaik, if you've heard of him. So he takes
yeah.
mythology and blends it into management. So considering your background in management and your deep interest in religion and philosophy, do you see yourself going into the area of non-fiction and going away from fiction per se?
Great question, actually.
Very good question. Absolutely no clue at this point of time. I have enough fiction story ideas to keep me busy for the next 20 years. And that world is a lot better than perhaps than management. So I'm not sure. But look, never say never, man. God knows. God knows where life will take me. But at this point of time, they're all fiction ideas. Secondly, I don't really think anyone's interested in listening to my management gyan. It's not that I created some companies and rock the markets or something like that. Yeah, I think Devdutt does a far better job at it.
Right, the lady in front, please.
Hi, I'm Sujata.
Hi, Sujata.
I wanted to know, you've humanized huge personalities. Shiva, Sati, Bhishma Pitama, Kali, Ganesh. Where did you get the idea? How did you do that? I mean, for me, it's a scary prospect.
It's scary if you believe you're doing it. If you believe you're only a channel, then it's the easiest thing in the world. I genuinely believe that I didn't create these characters. That's just the way they came to me, right? And having said that, I must say this is nothing new in Indian philosophies. So if you go back in our past, we've had 4 concepts of gods in Indian philosophy. There's the Nirgun Nirakar God, the formless God, which is kind of similar to the Semitic concept of God. Not exactly similar, but kind of similar. Then there is the Akar concept of God, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva. There is the Avatar concept of God, where God comes down in human form, and does his karma, dies, goes back. Lord Ram, Lord Krishna. Or the way the Americans call it, Avatar concept of God. And there's a 4th concept of God, where a man becomes a God. This concept exists in India. Gautam Buddha, for example, was clearly a historical man, but is a god for practically all Buddhists, is a god for most Hindus as well, including for me. Right? So the concept is not new. And I find this concept of a man becoming a god very inspiring, because at least it shows that, look, we're not some sad lost little souls who have to look up above at the sky for some help. God is within us. So who can stop us if we discover that God within?
Right, the gentleman in black on this side, this side of the aisle, right next to you. Yeah, he's been asking for a while. The mic, please.
Good evening, sir.
Hi.
I'm Bodhisattva Basu.
Hi.
I have two questions actually. The first question is that now the Shiva trilogy coming to a close, what is the next subject we can expect from you? And my second question is that Sage Bhrigu has been a very mystifying character in the past two books. So will we get to see more on that mystery in the third book?
You'll get to see a lot more of Brego in the third book. He's a very, very important character, very complex character. If you go even in the myths, he's an extremely complex, very exciting character. As far as my subsequent books are concerned, they'll all be in the space of mythology and history. That's the area that I like. That's the area of my passion. I don't see myself writing love stories or things like that. I guess I have more knowledge in the mythology area. You have to have experience of various different types of love stories to be able to write love stories. I don't have that. I've been with one girl since I was 17 years old. I met her when I was 15 years old. Took me 2 years to convince her I'm not that bad. So I've had no experience of one night stands and rebound relationships and all that jazz. So I have no idea. So I don't think I can write love stories. Non-fiction, management, yeah, God knows. Might be an idea, but it's not really up my alley. So I think I'm going to, at least most of the ideas that I have at this point of time are all in the mythology, history space. So inshallah, if you guys keep buying the books, I'll keep writing it. Otherwise,
Okay.
I might have to move back to banking.
I got the mic.
Hello, sir. My name is Shiva Basu. I'm from Calcutta University.
Hello.
I have two small questions. Your full name is Amish Tripathi, but we find in your book just Amish. Why is it so? And secondly, I love the way you write, of course, but I just wanted to ask you that why do you think your books sell? Is it because of the blessings of Lord Shiva, or is it because of your marketing campaigns? Thank you.
Okay, I might have a job as a marketing professor then. Okay, first, why don't I use my surname? For those of you who are from UP, Bihar, or have relations with that area, you guys would know that my surname is a caste surname. I'm not embarrassed of my surname, I'm not embarrassed of my family, but I am strongly against the caste system. I think it's an absolutely abhorrent practice. The way it exists today is absolutely disgusting. Your status in life being defined by an accident of birth is a disgusting practice. Now, I can't live without my surname. My legal contracts have to have my surname. But at least on the book, I thought I'll be true to my philosophy. So I don't use my surname on my book. Judge me as Amish, don't judge me as a Tripathi. So that's the reason why I don't use my surname. As far as marketing or this thing is concerned, look, I haven't done a market research, so I don't really know why people buy my books. I'm just delighted that they do. It could be various reasons. Maybe it's good storytelling. Maybe it's allegedly. Maybe it's the philosophies in the book. Maybe it's good marketing. Or maybe the real explanation is the blessing of Lord Shiva. I think maybe it's the blessing of Lord Shiva.
Right, next question, please.
Someone with the mic. Hey.
I'm Ritendra.
Ritendra Roy, my friend.
Yes.
Long time.
Well, not that long. So I remember both you guys sang in Baro C.
He was a senior of mine and I am Calcutta.
And a batchmate of mine.
You're getting embarrassing. So I was going to suggest, why don't you guys you sang in your new CD. I haven't heard you sing since I'm Cal. So would we all get a chance to hear a song from both of you?
I think Amish will go. I have no confidence left on this stage. He has. Go on, go for it.
A slow one, since we don't have instruments. Okay. आपकी आँखों में कुछ महके हुए से ख्वाब हैं आपकी आँखों में कुछ महके हुए से ख्वाब हैं आपसे भी खूबसूरत आपके अंदाज हैं आपकी आँखों में कुछ महके हुए से अब है. Little slower than the Bombay to Goa song I used to sing.
Not very familiar. I mean, you used to also dance, but I don't think this is the right milieu, perhaps. Um, we have time for 2 more questions, I think. Yes, the gentleman. Okay, yeah, you got the mic. Great.
Hi, I'm Shayan. Amish, I'm sure everyone would ask me to sing you, ask me to ask you to sing another song after this, but I guess I'll just veer around a bit and ask you 2 separate questions. Good. The first is, as someone who has probably an equally exciting day job, something similar to selling insurance.
You work in insurance?
Well, I don't. I'm a corporate lawyer, so it's just as interesting, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, there's something that's worse, yeah.
And you sort of think there's a separate calling. At what stage did you give it all up? At what stage do you think that, yes, there's critical mass and there's enough for me to, give up what I'm doing as a day job and take on whatever I think is my calling? And the second question is, do you think your kind of books sell better in India because we're deemed to be more of a, spiritual, religious society? And would the same sort of thing work, say, in a Western society just as well?
Firstly, look, I'm a risk-averse banker, so I wrote my first 2 books along with my job, and I resigned only when I realized that, okay, the royalty check can kind of pay the bills, and and I can kind of meet my responsibilities on it. Like I said, I don't have a lot of daddy's money to freak out on, so I have to be responsible. So I resigned only after my first 2 books were out, and I realized that, okay, I can make a living out of this. As far as religious books are concerned, yes, India is a very religious country, no doubt about it. But we are not the only one. And if you see the US, for example, I wonder how many of you guys have read this wonderful book called The End of Faith. It's like an atheist manifesto. It's written by Sam Harris. Fantastic book. Okay, but that has sold some 500,000 copies in the US. But The Purpose-Driven Life or The Alchemist would have sold multiples of that, in the millions in the US. So even in the Western world, which one might think would not be as religious books do sell. So look, there is, and that doesn't mean that I look down on atheists. Everyone has a right to follow their own path. But I think a vast majority of the world finds some purpose, some comfort in the divine. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you don't interpret that to preach hatred. And that we have to guard against. As long as you don't do that, there's nothing wrong with being religious, yeah? And I think it's a very good thing to be religious, actually.
The lady here, please, yes.
Hi Amish, this is Mansi here.
Hi,
Just
Mansi.
one question I had.
Sure.
When I read The Immortal of Melua and then I read The Secret of Nagas, I saw, there was a sudden change in the tone of the book. So was that intended or was it just...
I need to sit with you after this and understand. In my mind, it's one continuous book. They're not 3 different books. It's just broken into 3 books for convenience. At least in my mind, the way I visualized it. Okay. If there's something I can learn from you, I'd love to. So I'd love to get more detailed feedback from you.
Hi, since you were secularizing
Dude, your name, yeah?
Shubhankar.
Hi, Shubhankar.
I'm a student at Jadavpur. Given that you were secularizing myth and, religious figures, were there ever fears of hostility or a backlash, given the kind of repressive climate that we are living in? What's happened to Kamal Hassan's film Rushdie, famous instances. So looking back, was there ever a fear that, they'd be received in a way that you would not have imagined or, misconstrued, read out of context?
Look, when I was writing, I didn't even think my book would get published. So I can't say that I was thinking what will happen if a lot of people read it. As far as controversies are concerned, yes, regrettably, they do happen a lot more these days. And perhaps that's because actually the debate has actually been joined. 25, 30 years ago, most people wouldn't really be aware of books that were being published, right? In Pakistan, you will not find people taking out morchas against English language writers. That doesn't mean Pakistan is more liberal than us. It's just that nobody really cares for the opinions of those writers. Now the debate has been joined, right? That's one aspect. Second aspect, I think a lot of emotions have come into this issue. So I think we need to kind of step back and just take a calm look at what the issue is. Okay? If someone has the right to cause offense, to give offense, well, someone has the right to take offense as well, right? And that is also part of freedom of expression. As long as your protests or your disagreement are done in the form of debates and not in the form of violence or intimidation or threats of violence, there's nothing wrong with that. We are a democratic society. There are some cases where there's violence and threats of violence. That is wrong. That is clearly wrong. And that's not the way a civilized country behaves, and we really need to focus on that. But there's nothing wrong with debates. Thirdly, as far as my books are concerned, it's an interpretation. There's nothing new in what I'm doing. That's something which I do want to point out. That if you see the Purans, for example, there are various different interpretations. The Brahma Puran and the Shiv Puran, the creation myths are completely different. The Brahma Puran actually, historians say it was written 2,500 years ago. Many people believe it was written 5,000, 6,000 years ago. Yet the Brahma Puran writes of the Konark temple, which was built 800 years ago, which means that the Brahma Puran we're reading today was perhaps edited or things were added onto it. So which means that the concept of localizing or modernizing of myths has been around in India for thousands and thousands of years. It's nothing new. There are so many versions of the Ramayana, for example. So what I say is that by writing a different interpretation, I'm not being any less Indian, I'm being more Indian. Maybe that's why there has been no controversy regarding my books. I mean, by God's grace, it's sold a reasonable amount till now. It's not really a secret. There's no controversy at all, and there's no reason for any controversy at all. And lastly, if I may add one more thing. I think anyone who reads my books will realize that I think it's obvious that I'm a very devoted Shiva worshipper. So I think that's obvious at least. So that's why I guess there's no controversy.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Name, ma'am.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, so sorry.
Hi, I'm Parvati.
Hi, Parvati.
Just one
Parvati,
question.
lovely name.
Thanks. I want to know where do you see yourself after 20 years, or like what kind of imprint do you think you'll be leaving on the literature of Indian fiction? And
Good Lord. No, man. I mean, I don't really think on those terms. I just see myself today, live in the moment, as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing. That's what truly matters. Where I'll be 20 years from now, God knows. I might be dead in 5 years.
What if you become an atheist again?
I don't think that'll happen. I think I understand faith a lot more now. When I was young, I mean, I grew up in a very religious family. My grandfather was a priest. Both my parents were very religious. So I kind of understood faith as a part of my heritage. And maybe going through that atheism was a phase because that helped me understand faith a lot deeper and better now. I don't see myself letting go of faith because I genuinely am in a very happy place. At some levels, there's research which shows that if you experience a touch with the divine or with a higher power, it activates your pineal gland, which activates your growth hormone, which gives happy feelings, makes you calm. I think I'm in that place right now. Why the hell would I give it up?
May I ask, Amish, are you a meditator? Do you meditate?
I meditate, yeah. And writing is also meditating for me, though.
Fair enough. Some days, of course, it's hair-tearing meditation, but that's also a kind. The gentleman here, please. Yeah.
Sir.
My question is that you say that you write instinctively, but your books also show a lot of knowledge of mythology, and you've been reading books on the Saraswati. So what is it that you are reading now which, in a sense, enriches your creativity?
There's this wonderful book called India, a Sacred Geography. It's been written by Dinah Eck. Okay, she's an American professor at Harvard of comparative religion. Trust me, she must have been an Indian in her previous birth. Okay, because the way she gets India is so deep and so fundamental. I think she understands India better than what many of us Indians do. And I'd strongly recommend it to everyone. It's called India, a Sacred Geography. It's a tome. It's a long book. It's more than 1,000 pages. It's a non-fiction book. And she actually kind of writes about India across, and the belief systems across, and how pilgrimages, our attitude towards sacredness built our culture as a nation. And It's not just about Hinduism, it's about Islam, it's about every religion, the way it's practiced in India. And she has this wonderful line in the book. She said, India was not built on the power of its kings. It was built on the footsteps of its pilgrims. And I think that's spot on. India was built on the footsteps of our pilgrims. Our relationship with the divine is the source of Indian nationhood. And I'll say it again, it's not just about Hinduism, it's about every religion, the way it's practiced in India. If you go to Ajmer Sharif, you will find, I believe in Ajmer Sharif, for example. It's a tomb of a Muslim Sufi saint. But you'll find Hindus and Christians out there. In Mumbai, for example, the Ganesh Chaturthi that happens, the Lord Ganesh idol, many of the idol makers, the sculptors, are actually Muslims. And there's a tradition among some of them that the first puja is actually done by the Muslim sculptors, and only then the Hindus take it away. This is, I think, the root of Indian attitude towards religion. And there's a reason why we are a stable, sensible country, because a vast majority of us Indians are deeply religious and deeply liberal as well. And this India Sacred Geography really gets that beautifully.
You know,
Strongly recommend that book.
I'm really going to thank this audience because it's asked such wonderfully profound questions. And I'm going to thank Amish
Calcutta.
because this has
The city
really
of intellectuals.
raised more questions rather than less. I know that many, many more hands are going up.
Hi,
Do we
Amish.
have
Just one
time
question.
for perhaps 2 more questions? Right.
Hi,
The
Amish.
organizers have nodded, so.
Name, please.
Yeah. Hi, Amish. My name is Krishanu,
Hi, sir.
and I'm from Assam.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I
The
want to
land of
first.
Kamakhya ji.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank that my perception on Indian mythology was similar kind of like what's your perception on Indian mythology. So I have got confidence from your this 2 books, and I'm eagerly waiting for your 3rd book. Now my question is, every year, what I think that this book is a philosophy of good and evil in Indian civilization, philosophy of Indian society. Now, every philosophy has an impact on a society. Now, what do you think that, how do you, these 2 books, this Shiva trilogy, philosophy of Shiva, good and evil and Shiva trilogy, will impact Indian society in coming years?
I'm not sure that it's at a scale where it'll impact Indian society. Let me be realistic out here. It's just a book. But having said that, the philosophies that I live by, which I would love if others live by as well, is realize that many times something that we just perceive as vastly that we perceive as evil is just something that's vastly different from us. Excuse me. Now, I'm not some peacenik flower child who says that, oh, we have to somehow learn to get along with our enemies. I'm not saying that. But if you make them evil, then it just becomes an aar-paar ki ladai, correct? Which is self-defeating. Many times, perhaps, someone is so different from you that you have to learn to just stay away from them, all right? And just focus on yourself. Like, frankly, if I have to be honest, I think India would be better served if we just ignore Pakistan completely. That country is a waste of time. But we should focus on our eastern neighbor, Bangladesh, okay? Bangladesh has made tremendous improvements in the last 20 years. India as a country does not focus enough on it. It's a Muslim majority country. It's secular, it's democratic. It's had democratic changes of government. The social indicator improvements that they've had in the last 20 years, reports will tell you it's the fastest in human history, second only to the Meiji Restoration. The improvements they've made in the status of women in Bangladesh, okay, that's something that India can learn from. I'm a very proud Indian, but the way we Indians treat women is appalling. And it's almost like a genocidal war that our society is doing on women. And those are things that perhaps we can learn from a neighbor next door. And perhaps they can learn things from us. So let's focus on people who we can learn from, rather than getting into this conversation of good and evil where, you know, it just becomes something where violence is the only solution. Right? We need to focus on ourselves.
Right, one more question, one last question. Yes, please. 3rd roof. Okay, you've got. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Name, please.
It's houseful. It's houseful here. Last year it wasn't like this. Can I get the? Last year it wasn't like this. Not even half of the people were there. Can I get the 2nd book signed?
Yeah, sure, sir.
I'm nervous because it's houseful and many more people are waiting outside.
Inshallah.
Oh, fantastic. Now,
I've been ordered by Malvika here that I have to kind of sign books till my hands break off.
yeah, and that's
So
right
after
at the
this,
back
so I'm gonna
in the
do it.
Adda zone. So you can go and buy his books there and you can sign them. He'll be there. Okay, you go. Okay, last question. He needs a mic at the back,
Okay.
third row from the back. Could you stand up, please? Yes, just stand up. Yeah, he needs a mic. Yes,
Dude,
we
you've got
can
a
hear
good
you.
voice, man. Should join the theater. Adiban?
अरे तुझे माइक की जरूरत नहीं है यार.
Your voice
ऐसे
is
ही
good,
बोल.
yeah. I believe, from my heart, I believe actually one step further. That Shiva is the ultimate universal force. Now, I call him Shiva, and I'm not, I don't mean it with any disrespect to any other god. You know, I mean, everyone can approach that universal force from a different perspective. But I believe the source, the ultimate universal force, which physicists might call, you know, the moment of creation, all right, I believe that is Shiva. At least I call him Shiva. So his existence makes all our existence possible. That's what I believe. Can I prove it? No. But does it really matter whether I can prove it or not? You know, I believe in it, it gives me happiness. Now, look, as far as the story of Lord Shiva itself is concerned, that is purely fiction. I must say that. I say that at the beginning of the book as well. I can't claim it's the truth. I don't know the truth. Only Lord Shiva knows the truth. So this is my version of the story that came to me. And I would suggest that you read it as that as well. And you might discover your own version. Oh, of course not, man. No, come on. Mine is just a fiction book. There's no way it's going to become that version. Of course not.
Right. Now, it's been a fantastic session, I think, because Amish has been fantastic and he's been so good that you've been a fantastic audience. You've been completely quiet while everybody's, you know, raising an interesting question. And I think that's the measure of a successfully interesting talk show, the synergy between author and audience. Thank you very, very much, Calcutta.